today's news, all 7 of the COVID-related deaths recorded in 2022 were over the age of 60.
The Honorable Carvin Malone, Minister for Health, provides a health update.
An arson accused West End resident denied bail and ordered to undergo a psychological assessment could face life in prison if convicted.
The Honorable Melvin Mitch Turnbull, 2nd District Representative, speaks on the 2nd District happenings, particularly the Kane Garden Bay Police Station reopening, and Sylvanna Charles joins us live ahead of International Pageant. All this and so much more after a word from our sponsors. You're watching 284 News.
Live stream cable TV is here with CCT Live. Access over 80 channels that you can watch either at home or when you're on the go. And don't worry about missing your favorite series, sports, news, and local programming. Rewind and watch in your own time. Come to CCT today and ask about our 1-month free trial offer. CCT Live. Bring it home.
Welcome everyone. It's Thursday, January 27th, 2022. I'm Kamal Haynes.
And I'm Ron Grant. A terrific Thursday to each and every one of you. We're coming to you live and direct out of Tortola in the Virgin Islands. Before we get into our newscast today, some very, very interesting headlines, of course. The BVI, that's Health Minister, is saying the BVI will not do away with COVID-19 protocols like the United Kingdom. Most complaints to Top Cop says they are about pesky scooters by far. Those are his words. A $400K insurance payout for fishing complex should be used to rebuild the complex, says Agriculture Minister Dr. Wheatley. And Smith suggests that QR code, that's the Honorable Neville Sheepsmith, suggests that QR codes for murals, and Junior Minister scolds the Education Ministry over what she calls discrimination of boys with plats. That's the Honorable Shireen Flax Charles.
And viewers, we start today's newscast on the subject of COVID-19, where the Ministry of Health and Social Development has finally confirmed the gender and ages of the 7 COVID-related deaths which have been recorded so far this year in the British Virgin Islands. Well, according to the information from the ministry, which was presented in a media release on Wednesday, January 26, all 7 of the individuals were above 60 years of age at the time of their passing. But the ministry said, and I quote, "Well, the deceased are a 90-year-old female who died on January 2nd, a 62-year-old female who died on January 3rd, an 84-year-old female who died on January 5th, a 74-year-old male who died on January 7th, a 70-year-old male who died on January 7th, a 95-year-old male who died on January 11th, and an 86-year-old male who died on January 26th. Well, the Ministry of Health, Minister for Health and Social Development, Honorable Carvin Malone, expressed his condolences to the families of the deceased on behalf of the government. He said, and I quote, "Well, this wave of the virus is severely impacting our seniors and immune-compromised persons, according to the data. Well, Omicron is a milder form of the disease, but it is enhancing the vulnerability of older persons with chronic diseases to more severe disease, hospitalizations, and death with COVID. We continue to urge the persons, especially our most vulnerable, to get vaccinated or boosted, as vaccination remains our best option to fight this disease," end quote. Minister Malone also encouraged residents to remain vigilant, warning that while other countries across the world continue to relax COVID-19 measures, the BVI is still not out of the woods. While the BVI has recorded a total of 49 COVID-related deaths since the advent of the novel coronavirus. According to the BVI's latest COVID-19 statistics, the active positive cases in the BVI now stands at 397, with 12 hospitalizations. Around this is some good news for the BVI. I mean, we see this latest development in terms of the release of that particular information. I think only a couple of days after we brought it up, where we would have said, you know, it's time that the government and the ministry ultimately just reveal the gender and the ages. Obviously, you cannot reveal the identity of the persons, but to just give the public some insight of what is really taking place, who would have passed from the virus, whether these persons were unvaccinated or vaccinated. Obviously, that particular information wasn't present, but we see ultimately that the persons that would have, as a result, lost their life due to COVID-related situation being somewhat in the elderly range.
Absolutely, and we're thankful for those statistics. Now, viewers, in that very same interview, the Honorable Minister for Health, Carvin Malone, provided an update. Now, our newsroom was essentially bombarded with calls over the weekend as it pertains to the morgue at the hospital being down. Residents, family members, in addition to hospital workers, were concerned that COVID-related bodies were being stored with non-COVID related deaths. In addition to that, over the weekend, bodies had to be transported to a different location at Parkwood Pond in a freezer container, and residents and healthcare workers were also again concerned that the residents of these citizens who had passed away were not being equally told what was taking place. Of course, during the interview, I brought that up with the Honorable Minister for Health, and he spoke based on his knowledge as what it really took, what took place, in addition to the situation at the morgue. Listen in.
Well, we had a particular occurrence where because during that period in June, July of 2021, when we had the spike, 35, 36 deaths, we did have an occasion to purchase a field morgue, and we had put it into operation. Now, that compressor was in fact down. We had to take preventative steps in terms of making sure that we search the entire territory looking for a replacement compressor or a new particular facility. But we were able to find one, and when we look on Saturday, as fate will have it, because it is no secret here in the Virgin Islands, as fate will have it, the main morgue for a very short period was down. Was identified not to be fully operational. Okay. So all preventative steps were made because it was critical for us to make sure that we did not allow any of the souls that were in at the time to actually deteriorate. So we had to take emergency steps to make sure that they were placed in a place where it would not cause big disruption in terms of the souls of the persons dearly departed.
Can you identify what those steps were and how your ministry was able to handle that?
Well, the ministry was there's no secret that we had to make sure that we were able to get another field morgue and and actually transport the bodies in a dignified manner, as opposed to what is being placed out there. But most critical for me, most critical for the HSA, most critical for the staff was to preserve those souls so that there will be no deterioration.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Viewers, that was the Honorable Minister for Health and Social Development, the Honorable Carvin Malone. And now, as mentioned, Kamal, residents, healthcare workers did reach out to us, very concerned. And of course, immediately over the weekend when we did learn of this happenings, I reached out to the Honorable Minister, and he did not respond for a comment at that time. But later on, he did respond, and he was able to come today and give his perspective on what exactly happened. In the final analysis, there was a situation, the morgue was down. I believe it still remains down, and as a result of that, bodies had to be transported to a different location. But again, doctors and nurses who spoke to us were concerned that the families weren't being notified of the situation, and also COVID-related deaths and regular deaths were being bulked all at once. And then, of course, the concern for that issue came about where perhaps you would go to a funeral for someone who did not die of COVID complications, but does that put persons at risk? He did share his thoughts, and we thank the Honorable Minister for giving his perspective on that.
And that also is, emphasizes why it's so important for persons to come forward to media with such information, because had they not done that, that probably would have been something that would have been swept under the rug. Absolutely. And then there would have been no comment on that matter. But here we see somewhat of a professionals and people coming forward with certain concerns, and then we addressing it as media, then to have the minister then somewhat address it in a form of fashion. At least he did address it, as opposed to totally ignoring the great concern of the people.
Kamal, one of the major situations that we also discussed, and viewers, please make sure if you did not get to see that interview, please watch it. It is available on our website at 284media.com as well as our Facebook page. But residents and healthcare workers are concerned as to the situation with the leave. Both the Mrs. Carvin Malone Smith and Mr. Levor Letson, the Human Resources Manager, who will put on leave. The minister has again promised that information will be forthcoming, but persons at the hospital who are working seem pretty disgusted. They want to know when exactly these persons will be able to come back to their role. They obviously served as a pivotal part in the fight against COVID. The Honorable Minister himself alluded to the fact that both these individuals, particularly Mrs. Malone Smith, were instrumental in really charting the way forward with the territory through its very difficult times. He did allude to the fact that agencies do revamping and they do switching of their resources and the persons that work for him, but not necessarily addressing why they were put on leave and when they will be able to return. Very
questionable indeed. Viewers, up next, we have a special guest in studio who will be speaking on her upcoming pageant. We will basically get to that interview after a word from our sponsors.
The wait is over. CCT Fire is here. Experience ultra-fast downloads, seamless streaming, and even more reliable connectivity on an all-new fire-blazing super-fast CCT Fiber network. CCT Fire. Bring it home and upgrade today.
Viewers, welcome back. As promised, we are joined by the lovely Miss Sylvanna Charles, who will be competing in the Miss Plus World International Pageant, which will be held in Houston, Texas on March 9th to the 12th, 2022. Miss Sylvanna Charles, welcome to 284 News, and thank you so much for your time.
Hi, thanks for having me. Always a pleasure.
Absolutely. Now, you are no stranger to pageantry. Recently, you competed in the Miss BVI pageant, for which you placed second runner-up. You have taken on the pageantry world by storm for a number of years. You have quite a number of crowns under your belt. In addition to that, of course, chaperoning various contestants. You are a dance instructor as well as an educator, so quite a lot going on for you. But I want you to tell us about this upcoming pageant, the Miss Plus World International Pageant in Houston, for which you'll be representing the territory of the Virgin Islands.
Well, the Miss Plus World pageant is a pageant that I've been looking at for quite a few years, but due to COVID and me running in Miss British Virgin Islands last year, it was something that I had to put on the back burner. And I thought I was really overdoing pageantry, but I guess when you just have a passion for something, it never really goes away. The flame never dies. So I brought the idea again about competing internationally, and I am ready, I am prepared from just coming off of Miss BVI, so I thought, why not give it a chance? It's a pageant that's been around for quite a few years, and it's representing full-figured women from all over the world.
Beautiful. Well, of course, we'd like to take this opportunity to wish you all the very best. As you are preparing for this pageant, what are you most looking forward to, apart from hitting the stage? Are there any segments or aspects of the pageant that you're most looking forward to?
I think this pageant, or any pageant where I have to travel off island, the segment that's most interesting or fun to competing would have to be my culture wear, because not only do I get to see culture wears from all over the world, I am able to display my people, my culture, my pride within 2 minutes on stage, and that in itself is very self-gratifying.
What are you most proud of when it comes to Virgin Islands culture as a born and raised BVI Islander?
I think our greatest resource would have to be our people, and I am so proud to say that I am a BVI Islander. We are such a fiery, energetic set of people, but most importantly, we are resilient, and this is something that has carried us through the most tumultuous times here in these islands. But every time we are able to overcome, we are able to hold our heads high, and most importantly, we are able to just spread BVI love and awareness wherever we go.
Absolutely. Now, you talked about the 2-minute segment where you'll be depicting culture. What are some of the other segments that you will be competing in?
Well, there is a personal interview. There will be the culture segment, as I mentioned. There's a brief introduction, and there will also be the evening wear competition, as well as a denim wear competition.
Wonderful. What do you, when you think of pageantry and the collaboration of such, the work that goes into it, what would you say to other young women who may want to compete in a pageant? They may be full-figured like yourself, and because of stereotypes, because they are stereotypes, as we know, as it pertains to what persons vying for different titles in pageants should look like. You have shattered it, and I'm so proud because you've shattered that glass ceiling hands down. What do you say to young women out there who may have apprehensions, may be nervous, may be saying, perhaps I'm not good enough, why should I do this? What do you say to them?
There really is no barrier when it comes to full-figured women competing in pageantry. Although we're not the typical stereotype, we're just packaged differently. I can do everything that anyone else who looks different from me can. It's just about being confident in your skin, owning who you are, and just making an impact every time you're out in the public eye.
I agree. Now, this is COVID-19. We are in the pandemic, and unfortunately, it's taking a while to go away. Any hesitations? What are your thoughts as it pertains to traveling to Houston in these COVID times?
I will be following all COVID protocols while traveling. My team and I discuss the pros and cons of traveling, but we are assured that with following protocols and keeping our distance from anyone we may come into contact with, that we should be fine. And when I come back, I do plan on isolating.
Wonderful. Now, finally, before you go, and this is not the first time we're going to be hearing from you, viewers, we're going to have Ms. Charles back to really go a bit more in depth as it pertains to this pageant, what it means for the Virgin Islands to be represented in this pageant, and what she plans to come back with. But before we go, what are your goals? What is your main goal in competing in the Miss Plus World International pageant?
Well, at this point in my pageant career, being that I have won several titles, I don't think my main focus is winning anymore. Pageantry is just something that I'm passionate about, and anyone who has seen me on stage can testify to that. My major goal would just be to represent my island to the best of my capabilities, and I would like to take this time to assure you viewers that the BVI will leave a mark in the great state of Texas.
I tell you, that is one thing we are not nervous about. We know that you will represent us. Do you have any your eyes on any particular candidates competition-wise? Are you paying a keen look for anyone across the region or internationally who is competing in this, who you might have worked with or been on a stage before? I
don't know any of the other delegates personally, but I am always intrigued with meeting my fellow Caribbean sisters when I do compete in regional and international pageants. So I know, for example, this pageant, I think there is a Miss Trinidad, a Miss St. Lucia, and a Miss Bahamas. So all of us will be competing for the Caribbean region in the international show.
Beautiful, Sylvanna. We're going to have you back, and we're so proud and so thankful that you took the time with us. Again, she'll be competing in the Miss Plus World International pageant in Houston, Texas. That will be taking place from March 9th to the 12th. Come on.
Great, and that's actually great news, Ron. It's good to always see the BVI competing in the international competitions, especially with these types of pageants, because what it ultimately does, it gives everyone hope. You know, usually we're accustomed to seeing pageants with persons who are really slim and trim, etc. But no, we are getting very more incorporating and embracing different shapes and different body types on the international scenery, and it's ultimately we must say kudos to those persons, kudos to the pageant organizers for even thinking of such. And as we see the world continues to change and be more embracive to all body types, I mean, all we can do is wish her the best and wish all persons that, you know, have similar goals the best as well.
I agree. Viewers, up next we have so much more in store for you. We'll be right back after a quick commercial break.
Is business slow, cash flow down, hosting an upcoming event? We can help. Advertise with 284 Media and take your business or event to the next level by enhancing your present marketing and messaging strategies. Allow our team of experts to create a personalized ad that sets your business apart from all the rest. This could be your business or event. So, what are you waiting for? Contact our marketing team at 284media@cctbvi.com. Advertising with us works.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's a brand new season of The Art of a Distinguished Gentleman, a show poised to help guide modern day men into 21st century distinguished gentlemen. It doesn't always involve suits and, bow ties, but raw, real-life lessons that translate to grounded, community-minded, well-rounded men.
This season, I'm taking you on an entirely different journey. From chefs to dancers, philanthropists, communications specialists, and much more. I'm heading outside in the field to share the journey of some of the BVI's best and brightest men. From East End to West End, Borgingada, Jackson Lake, not forgetting Anigata. Our Virgin Islands gentlemen are doing the damn thing, and I'm so proud. Get ready to reason, reflect, and redirect. We are the movers and shakers of this generation, and we ain't afraid to show it. The Art of a Distinguished Gentleman, Season 3 by yours truly, Ron Grant, raising a generation of greatness.
Well, welcome back, viewers. Well, arson accused West End resident was denied bail and ordered to undergo a psychological evaluation after his alleged involvement in setting a house and a garage ablaze. While he is 30-year-old Jarvis Alexander of Towers West End, who appeared virtually before Magistrate Kadeen Palmer on Wednesday, January 26, charged with 2 counts of arson, which are indictable offenses. Well, Alexander is accused of setting a fire to an auto mechanic garage owned by Godfrey Gabriel and a wooden house owned by Kareem Hall, which both are situated on a property owned by Alexander. Well, according to the information revealed by the prosecution, the property where both Gabriel and Hall occupied were leased to the 2 individuals to support Alexander's father, who has a disability. Well, the court heard that in early January, there was a verbal argument between Alexander and Gabriel. The argument ended with Alexander allegedly threatening to burn down Gabriel's garage since, in his opinion, Gabriel was acting like and I quote, a bad man, end quote. Well, on January 19th, the day of the incident, another argument between the 2 men occurred, with Alexander accusing Gabriel, who at the time was working in his garage, of using a towel belonging to him. Well, Gabriel denied the accusations, and according to the prosecution, Alexander once again threatened to burn down the mechanic's garage. It was said that the accused, after a brief verbal back and forth, entered his home and returned with a gas can and started to sprinkle the gas on Gabriel's garage. Well, thereafter, the accused left and returned with matches and allegedly lit the garage. Well, this prompted Gabriel to swiftly react as he located enough water to extinguish the fire. He also swiftly removed the vehicles in his garage and headed to the West End police station to make a complaint. But the prosecution said it was at that time that the complainant, while at the station, received a call from someone that his garage was once again set ablaze. Well, Gabriel said that the substantial damage was sustained to the garage, amounting to thousands of dollars in damages. But the fire, as stated by the prosecution, was so extensive that it caused damage to the structure of Hall's home and resulted in him losing some of his personal belongings. Well, police later arrested the accused, who, according to the prosecution, denied the allegations. Alexander's attorney, Valerie Gordon's strongest argument was that bail should be granted to her client on humanitarian grounds. She said she was informed that there were more than 30 current positive COVID-19 cases among inmates at Her Majesty's Prison in Bassam Gut, and feared that the environment would put her client at risk of contracting the virus. Magistrate Palmer, after considering the argument by the attorney, denied bail, adding that the crime of arson is one of the most serious offenses in the territory, which can result in a convicted person being sentenced to life in prison. Well, the case was adjourned until February 24th, where a psychological assessment will be conducted on Alexander and a report of the findings issued to the courts. Ron, this was obviously, this case was yesterday morning. Yes. Some interesting developments coming out of that. We would have heard the news, we would have seen the news regarding the incident in West End on January 19th, where we would have seen that was a large fire. That was actually one day after the large fire on Virgin Gorda. And we were kind of questioning, what are the chances that we have 2 major fires in the BVI hours apart? Here we see somewhat of some of the allegations being brought forth here in the court, magistrate court. Obviously, it is an indictable. It is an indictable offense where it has to be tried before the High Court. But we will obviously keep you, the viewers, updated as more comes to light on this matter.
Absolutely. Viewers, continuing on, the Honorable Melvin Mitch Turnbull, 2nd District Representative, really called and put Top Cop out on what we would call blast, but essentially got his concerns answered. The Honorable Melvin Mitch Turnbull was speaking to the Standing Finance Committee as it pertains to the partial opening of the King Garden Bay Police Station. The issue of law and order, he said, was of paramount concern because his district is one of the hospitality meccas of the Virgin Islands. In addition to that, he really wanted the concerns of his constituents to be heard. This is an interview that took place today, which you will be seeing shortly. Take a look.
Over the last, I would say, 5 or 6 years, we've had complaints, I've had complaints made to me by my constituents, the business community, even the persons far-reaching is in Harrigan and the mayor's area as it relates to the King Garden Bay Police Station. So over the years, you've had where there are officers occupying the station, but not actually working in out of the station. And the station has been closed more often than not. So I brought it again to this present commissioner, Mr. Mark Collins, and he was able to, we had a dialogue, I would call it, Ron. We had a dialogue back and forth of the concerns that I were faced with, and I gave him the opportunity that, this is what was said to me by the previous commissioner and the one before, but is unacceptable for King Garden Bay, which is the hub of tourism to the Virgin Islands, as if Virgin Gorda is on the eastern side. I gave him the examples of what happens and what has been happening. So it was more likened onto a hotel than an actual police station. But I'm happy, Ron, to report out of that Standing Finance Committee meeting, it was the next 2 weeks, I received a report and a poster from the commissioner that they had reopened the King Garden Bay police station, from 8 to 5 on Monday through Fridays, and they have different hours, shift systems on Saturdays and Sundays. So I'm delighted that the efforts put forward, and I want to express my gratitude to the commissioner and to the Royal Virgin Islands Police Force for taking action, adhering to my keen instructions and advice, and just beckoning for, not just King Garden Bay, but Bruce Bay and all the surrounding areas that represent the 2nd District to receive that type of security that they would need, especially given the reopening of our cruise tourism industry.
Viewers, that was the Honorable Minister for the 2nd Electoral District, the Honorable Melvin Mitch Turnbull. Now, of course, that full interview will be aired this evening at 8 p.m., so be sure to check it out. Kamal, the issue of law and order, once again, and residents having a facility that they could feel secure in that being a police station in a very busy district like King Garden Bay was a paramount concern. We are happy to see that those concerns, based on what the Honorable Minister is saying, were listened to and adhered to by the top cop, and a resolution was done and made very quickly. So that station is now open from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. In the event that residents or any situations may occur.
Indeed, that is obviously good news, because we do know that the Royal Virgin Islands Police Force was suffering a shortage of staff for some time, coupled with the COVID situation. Would have made matters even worse. So as hopefully I will try to reach out to him personally to get a comment on the matter, to verify and confirm the hours, so that residents could even be more safe to know the factual information as well.
I agree. Now, viewers, of course, you would remember the heartbreaking story of the lovely Miya, a Virgin Islander living in Florida, whose life was taken just absolutely harshly and too abruptly. Of course, now Miya's law had its first committee hearing on Tuesday, and it passed unanimously, while State Senator Linda Stewart defended the law before lawmakers on Tuesday to essentially fight for tenant safety in the name of Miya Marcano. Now, Stewart said she's hopeful that soon what happened to Miya is something no other renter experiences. The bill would require complexes to do national background checks on employees, including a check of sexual predator registers, and require places to give a 24-hour heads up to tenants when staff can enter somebody's apartment, a key log of who enters, and an annual inspection to hold complexes accountable. The purpose of this bill is to make people not only aware, but make people safe, Stewart said. Now, Stewart said while Tuesday's hearing is just the start for it to become a law, it's one that will continue to get bipartisan support. She said this is something everyone can relate to because everyone has a lot of apartments in their district. the bill has still more two committee hurdles to go through in the Senate, and we of course will keep you updated. But we're happy to see the name Miya is being etched in history while helping to safeguard the lives of others. Kamal, a step in the right direction.
I totally agree with you, and a lot of persons are looking forward to the passing of this legislation in the United States of America, where more persons and more females especially could feel safe, especially in those types of environments where you have landlords that have access to your rooms when you're not there. So hopefully this makes way, and her death is not in vain.
Indeed, viewers, that is all the time we have, but that is not all the content. Be sure to stick to our website, 284media.com. And we have so much in store. See you later. I'm Ron Grant.
And viewers, I'm Kamal Haynes, and have a great Thursday evening.
Bye-bye.